stating that, quote, "I am good at using guns and knives," unquote.
For the homies, I keep it for my family.
Right.
That's not a gang to me. That's just protecting your own. I think with Chris Brown, I know what he needs. He needs a brotherhood. He should join Omega Sci-Fi like I did. Or, you know, something like that. I could set that up.
This is a wild one. Chris Brown, the man we all know for his iconic hits, unforgettable dance moves, and crazy personality, has been caught up in some serious street drama. We're not just talking about his past legal issues or social media beefs. Nah, this time, things are looking way deeper. Word is, Breezy might have allegedly dropped $100,000 on gang protection from one of the most powerful figures in LA, Big U, the alleged leader of the notorious LA Crips gang. And it doesn't stop there. New reports suggest a mind-blowing twist involving 20,000 wiretaps and a star witness set to testify. Yeah, you heard that right. This story is about to take a serious turn with Fruittown Piru in the mix. For those of you who have forgotten, the Fruittown Piru set is part of the Bloods, one of the most powerful and dangerous street gangs in the West Coast. And Big U, an alleged gang leader, is not only known in the streets, but also in the music industry. He's been behind the scenes, shaping careers, influencing the game, and allegedly providing protection for some of the biggest names in hip-hop. So, when it's rumored that Chris Brown is paying Big U's crew for protection, things get a whole lot more serious. Let's dig into the details of this shady deal and what it really means. We gotta take it back a bit to understand how Chris Brown got so deep into gang territory. For years, people have speculated about his ties to the Bloods. Chris has been seen throwing up the blood signs in his music videos and on social media. But let's not forget, in hip-hop, repping a set can be more about street credibility than actual membership. Some artists throw up gang signs as a way of connecting with the streets, creating an image of toughness, or aligning themselves with certain communities. But Chris Brown's situation seems to go beyond just the image. Over the years, Chris has made it clear that his relationship with the Bloods is real. We've seen him throwing up gang signs, shouting out the Fruittown Piru set, and even engaging in street-related drama. In fact, his history with gangs in LA has been well documented, especially when he got into multiple public altercations that linked him to gang violence. His connection to the Piru Bloods is more than just a lifestyle. It seems to be a business deal as well, one that may have allegedly cost him a hefty $100,000. Now, if you thought Chris was done with the gang signs and shout-outs, think again. After his stint in jail, Chris came out swinging literally. He posted videos of himself throwing up blood signs at BET after parties, clearly sending a message to anyone paying attention. This time, though, it wasn't just the usual gang references. It was a more blatant display of his affiliation with the Fruittown Piru set. Fans took note, and it wasn't long before people started speculating that Chris had been paying for protection. Chris even went as far as to tag the phrase "Fruits Piru" while in Hawaii. This was right before he was locked up, so it seemed like he was using that time to solidify his place within the gang. Chris wasn't shy about claiming his blood ties, even calling out Jay-Z on Twitter and bragging that his Bloods connections gave him an edge over the Rock Nation mogul.
This young man just gave out 500 pair of tennis shoes. And he about to give out another 500 pair of tennis shoes.
Now, let's talk about Big U. If you don't know who he is, Big U is one of the most influential figures in LA's Blood scene. He has reportedly helped shape the careers of numerous celebrities, including Nipsey Hussle and Wiz Khalifa. Big U's influence in LA isn't just confined to the streets. He's got connections in the music industry and Hollywood, making him a powerful figure in both worlds. Whack 100 even went as far as calling out Big U, claiming that he might be over-exaggerating how much Chris really donated. Either way, this whole situation raises some serious questions about how deep Chris really is in the game. Is he just paying for protection, or is he actually part of the crew? We may never know for sure, but all these conflicting statements don't make things any clearer.
In the streets, I've never heard of Chris Brown getting pressed. The Chris Brown that I know, you know, he can have a temper. You know what I mean? You got to really whoop Chris Brown ass, and even then he ain't gonna do it. So, but you know, if the right people that's tied to him come to him like, yo, man, dude, trying to do this for the kids, right? I think he would show up and do that. I mean, why wouldn't he?
So, When rumors started circulating that Chris Brown had paid Big U $100,000 for protection, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Was this just business as usual in the world of street gangs? Or is there something more sinister going on behind the scenes? Some people are claiming that Chris Brown might have been paying Big U to shield him from threats, both in the streets and within the industry. It's not uncommon for celebrities to seek protection from gangs in LA, especially when they're caught up in beefs or facing threats from rival factions. But what's interesting here is the amount of money being thrown around. $100,000 allegedly for protection is a huge sum. Was Chris really under that much threat? Let's also take into account Chris's reputation. The man's been involved in multiple high-profile incidents involving violence and altercations. The protection deal could have been a way for him to keep his circle tight and ensure his safety. But it also opens the door to a dangerous kind of dependency, one where an artist might become more reliant on street ties than their own professional team. This brings us to the next question. Was this really just a protection deal, or was Chris paying for something more dangerous, like a form of extortion? Hold up, let's not forget about Soulja Boy. Yeah, I know. Soulja Boy is known for his viral moments, but his confessions add another layer to this whole situation. Soulja has never been shy about his gang ties, especially when it comes to the Bloods. Once, Soulja Boy revealed that both he and Chris Brown are heavily connected to the same set of Bloods, the Fruittown Piru. He went on to say that he and Chris were like brothers in the streets, claiming they both paid their dues to the gang. Soulja even said that when he came to LA, he was embraced by the Piru set, and that's when he started to see Chris Brown's true loyalty to the gang. This is huge, y'all. Soulja's words are important because they shed light on the fact that Chris Brown's affiliation with the Bloods isn't just for street cred. It's something more personal and deeper. Soulja Boy didn't just brush this off. He made it clear that Chris's connection to the Piru set was genuine. According to Soulja, this wasn't a simple case of clout chasing. Both he and Chris had established ties with the set long before the music industry even noticed them. When Soulja comes out and talks about these connections, it makes you wonder just how deep Chris Brown really is in the streets. This isn't just about a few gang signs or some mentions in songs. It's about a real personal relationship with one of the most notorious gangs in LA. And if you look at the way Soulja Boy is talking, it sounds like Chris wasn't just in it for the image. He was in it for the protection and the power that came with it. Now we get to the really juicy part, the leaked evidence. Word on the street is that there are alleged 20,000 wiretaps involving Big U and his dealings with the gang, and some big names. 20,000 wiretaps, that's a crazy number, especially when you consider the kind of people involved. If these wiretaps are legitimate and connect the dots to other names, then this could be the smoking gun that ties Chris to some really heavy street politics. If law enforcement has access to that many conversations, it means they have serious evidence on what's been going down between Chris and Big U. This could open up a whole new can of worms, leading to criminal investigations and even federal charges. But that's not all. There's also an alleged star witness set to testify in the case. Who's the star witness? We don't know yet, but it's rumored to be someone who's closely connected to both Chris and Big U. A witness with insider knowledge could be the key to unraveling the full extent of this alleged protection deal and whether or not it involved any criminal activity. If this witness is credible, then we might be looking at a massive legal fallout for Chris Brown, especially if he's shown to have been involved in any illegal activities under the guise of gang protection. Let's not forget the history here. Chris Brown's gang ties have always been questioned, and the Soulja Night shooting at 1 OAK in 2014 only made things more complicated. Soulja, who was shot during an altercation at the club, later filed a lawsuit claiming that the shooting was gang-related, and he pointed the finger at Chris's connections. Whether or not Soulja's claims were legitimate remains a point of contention, but the fact that Chris was involved in a highly publicized shooting connected to gang violence didn't help his case. But here's the kicker. The shooting could have been tied to a larger gang war. If Chris was paying Big U for protection, that could mean some gangs were getting involved in all kinds of business deals outside the music industry. These types of connections could have escalated tensions in a very dangerous way, leading to more public incidents like the one at 1 OAK. Akon, not so long ago, said in an interview that Chris Brown's association with street gangs has hindered his rise to the top. Akon believes that if Chris had the right creative team around him, he could have reached the same heights as Michael Jackson. But instead, Chris has been surrounded by a different kind of circle, one that includes gangbangers, instead of creative geniuses.
This day and age, the only person, in my opinion, that could have achieved just as great as a legacy as Mike, to me, would have been Chris Brown. I just believe that Chris Brown was surrounded by the circle of creative people that Mike was surrounded by.
Wow.
It's like he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Right.
He don't have the guidance.
Right.
Akon's comments hit hard because they speak to the crossroads Chris Brown has found himself at. On one hand, he's an incredibly talented artist. On the other, his ties to the Bloods and his history of legal drama have held him back from reaching his full potential. So, where does this all leave Chris Brown? He's an incredibly talented artist, but his career could be overshadowed by these ongoing connections to street gangs. Will he be able to break free from the grip of street politics and move forward with his career? Or will his gang ties continue to cause trouble? The reality is, this kind of drama can tarnish a public image. It's one thing to be known for your talent. It's another to be tied to violence, extortion, and the criminal underworld. And let's not forget the impact it could have on his business ventures. Chris Brown's brand has always been built on his music, his charisma, and his raw talent. But if this $100,000 protection deal becomes a major part of his public narrative, he could lose the support of fans, brands, and record labels that want to stay far away from anything remotely criminal. So, what's next for Chris Brown? Is the $100,000 protection deal a smart move, or is it just a temporary solution to a much bigger problem? With the involvement of Big U and the 20,000 wiretaps reportedly in play, it's clear that there's more going on behind the scenes than Chris is letting on. The question is, will these street connections catch up to him in the long run? One thing's for sure, Chris Brown's story is far from over. Whether he can break free from the grip of street politics and live up to his full potential is something only time will tell. But with this leaked protection deal, this story is far from over. Y'all already know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and stay tuned for more updates.